It wouldn't fit Joe's standards, but
Oh yeah, I mean, Morgan, we thought about getting like a coffee press type of thing, but she doesn't. She really only drinks coffee at work. And we have no room right now, so. But as they say, sometimes the only time to really drink it is at 12:59 at night. So we're beyond we're beyond the time of the sleeping hour.
There's a song back in the '60s. Otis Redding sings it. It's a song called "Cigarettes and Coffee." It's really good. But anytime I'm staying up late with this, I always like a good cup of coffee. It just gets you chatty.
Man, it makes me want to light up a cig too.
I know. I used to smoke occasionally, just like with that, and it was always fun. We used to do menthols with American Spirits.
I'll lead in with this story. I've only because we're live.
Let's edit that out.
Oh, you don't want that?
I don't care. I'm just kidding. I don't do it no more.
Yeah, I mean it's just cigarettes
and coffee.
Oh yeah, cigs and coffee. What I like to do is dip the cigarette in the coffee first and then light it.
Yes.
That way you smell it. But I've only smoked like probably 3 packs in my life. It was when we went to Atlanta for DreamHack, and then we almost died getting some whatever the cheap green ones are that everyone always gets. I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
They're like the dirt cheap ones. They're like the
Newport?
worst. Yes, it was Newports. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we smoked that because we almost died a couple times. We were at this gaming convention, and then I ended up meeting a bunch of these semi-pro CS:GO players, and I smoked with them, and then played some games with them. I did really bad. We were sleep deprived. It was a crazy time. And then when we got back, we smoked some of Morgan's mom's like skinnies that she had because we were just in a smoking mood. And then ever since then, I've not smoked. I mean, I've smoked cigars, but that's a different type of thing. It's kind of you hold, you puff. You don't really like inhale. But
I used to do. Go ahead.
What I was going to say was, what I think is crazy is how many people vape nowadays.
Yeah, dude. There's something about, look, smoking's bad. Shouldn't do it. Bad for your health.
Yeah.
But darn it, Brandon, it looks cool.
It looks cooler than puffing this.
Yeah, it looks way cooler than having a big dragon. And remember back in the day, them guys used to blow them rings and be like,
yeah, it was a competition.
All that stuff. Yeah.
One of
nerds.
One of the guys I worked with, we back in the warehouse, we were trying to make our own vape mods.
Really?
So yeah, because he had a guy that could plastic print. We could do all this stuff. But then then later on, it was like. He told me it wasn't like this guy didn't own like a plastic printing stuff. He just 3D printed stuff, and I was like, you can't upscale that with one person, buddy. No. But what I thought,
and they used to blow up on people's mouths and stuff.
Oh
too,
yeah, right? I mean, the one I had was crazy. It's gone now. We caught a landfill on fire somehow. What I think is crazy about that is the addiction and like how, again, speaking of vices on the previous episode, people are in this habit. So Morgan's mom used to not smoke all that often because you have to get the cigarettes out. You have to, smoke it. You got to light it. You got to ash it. Same thing with that work. You got to step away and do it. But when it's in your pocket, this little vape, you just hit it. Yeah. People have it. They hit it all the time, and it's like, and Morgan said she's like, her mom hits it all the time now. Like in any stressful moment, like something's going wrong, kind of not feeling good, awkward. Hit.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a cycle of like you need this rush. And I mean, I saw our quality guy the other day. We were talking like a week ago about him quitting smoking, and then I saw him like hit the vape pen out on the floor, and I was like, you should be doing that. And then like one of the owner's kids, his vape dropped when they're going to a meeting. I'm like, I thought you were quitting these. He's like, nope, I need. And I was like, man, how?
I will say it's probably go ahead.
Well, I mean, I know it's like a thing to help ease anxiety and stuff, but it's like to so readily always have it.
Yeah.
It is as bad as people who have to they're like on their phone all the time. They got to check something, do the Snapchat. It's just such a crazy thing how addictive that is just to have that vice that hits you and like instantly relieves. It's like the moment you're stressed, you're out of your comfort zone, you hit just to enter back in.
Yeah, it's a terrible habit.
And it's like, and it goes back to what, we were talking about before is like, if you're never out of your comfort zone, you never are allowed to grow because you're consistently resetting your bar back to zero to normal the moment something gets, uneasy. And I'm not saying that you can't do that for like mental clarity for like a tough situation. Granted, I think if David and Goliath was happening and David was like, let me hit my pin real quick. Okay, I got this. I
Yeah.
think it would go a little differently. You know, I don't think it really hits the same way as him bringing out a whatever the Camel brand is, a Marlboro, and lighting that bad boy up, and
Marlboro.
then throwing that rock. You know, I know that's how it happened. I went to Sunday school once.
Oddly enough, uh, I was just reading about this on Twitter, X. There
X.
was a excuse me. There was this was filmed in 2019. Um, they asked this. They said, bros that don't smoke, like how do you relieve your stress? And there was ones that you would think like God.
Oh, okay,
There was like the gym,
Jim's
but
good,
India came hard with tea.
dude.
Did you know that?
Tea time,
Tea.
dude. They're
It's like what? Like they are all about that tea. It's like, am I missing something here?
well, I think they have certain herbal mixes that like with like with certain herbs. You know, it's like a supplement that you take it, and it's just kind of like eases your mind, and it's just that calming. And like it's warm, it's hot like coffee. You can't. I think that's what makes coffee and tea
Yeah.
specifically more because it's a calm. It's supposed to be a calming thing anyway.
Hmm.
The reason why it works is because it's cold. I mean, it's hot, and
Yeah.
you cannot go at it like, oh, you would drink
Yeah,
a
yeah,
drink.
yeah.
You have to appreciate it, go slow as it's cooling down, and
It's a
then
ritual.
yeah. So it forces you to like stop,
And to your point, that's what
relax.
cigarettes
Yeah,
used to be the ritual.
yeah, because you would stop, you'd light one, you'd go through it, you'd finish a cig, and then you're cleansed. You're like, well, you're poisoned, but your mind is emptied. And now it's just like an instant fix. You're missing the point of the breather, the thinking, and like the actually stepping away from. Not that I think we should bring cigarettes back in like a
None.
just everywhere, but I mean, it's just
If you're gonna do
interesting.
something, do a pipe. The pipe. I used
Yeah,
to do
you
pipe.
tried to get me
The
to do the
pipe was
pipe.
cool. Yeah, the
The
pipe
pipe
was
was
cool.
cool. I remember the first time
Now,
I went to work, you were like, "You want to come? You want a tobacco pipe? I'll get you one."
it's pretty.
It's like,
I was all about it.
I was like, "What? I don't smoke. I don't know how a
I
pipe
was
works."
Oh, you'll get it. No, it's fun, man. And I got to say that it does give you some mental clarity. But where I aired right is when but it's also cool because you can get like a bunch of different blends. And just going to the tobacco place, like because
Yeah,
they're like a connoisseur and they'll like talk to you about it. I love that.
I love.
You asked
I
me,
like this one.
yeah, oh yeah, and each one had a different like. It'd be like this one's smokier, this one's sweeter. Like oh, so good. Um, where I went wrong is doing the dip.
Yeah,
Um, because I had one of them babies in. It was literally,
all the
I
time.
mean, and so when I weaned
They
off of
almost
that,
killed me with one of them.
well, when I weaned off, I think, part of when I got sick, I think part of that was basically going cold turkey on those things. And boy, I had I don't know if it was that, but I had thoughts of suicide. I had depression. I had, and it was a fleeting thought. Like it's not like I had the news, like, but
Yeah,
I had some crazy stuff going through. And that's what I was going to say, right? Like I would do now that I'm a Christian again and all that, I would. But I'm just saying, like, as far as ethically and all that, it's not like, and the tobacco smokes doesn't have all those extra added
the
things. So it's not as
carcinogens.
bad
Yeah,
for it. Yeah. But that was a nice ritual. But they say that like once you get off of that, like if you do it again, you're immediately back
yeah,
addicted like you were. And it was so bad giving that up. I will never
yeah.
do it again
I get
because I
that.
can't go through it.
Well, because your body goes from a constant state. Like, you got to think about it. If you're
Oh
doing
yeah.
it for like 5 years, every day,
Oh
in
yeah.
your mouth, 24/7, your body is
Literally.
taking these chemicals, it's changing its shape. If you get all sciencey about it,
Yep.
it is this new normal, and then it goes away. It's like
Yep.
5 years of just like the way it feels has just been thrown out. And
Yep.
it's like, I get the caffeine headaches when I've been trying to cut back on caffeine. I have to like slowly kind of just add in a little bit. But
Yep.
I've moved back to mostly drinking water. We just have some pop here and there, like the zero sugar kind. And some days I'm clearing a gallon plus. Some days, I just don't have the bottle near me, and I just don't, drink as much. And then because you're not drinking the water, you're tempted to go back to the bad thing because like you're just so used to it. And I'm just
Mhm.
trying to reset myself back to like not craving this as sweet sugar. And it's a hard thing, especially with all of the food that's processed and not processed. And even with what I made 3 steaks today for
Nice.
the next couple of days to eat. But even then, like you're tempted to drink something like sugary with it. Like there's certain
Yeah.
meals that it's like, man, I just wish I had a Coke.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's funny you say that about um, your body adapting because I think your body can adapt. I was listening to a guy a few years ago on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how he did a caffeine study. Just about what happens to your body, and he quit cold turkey, like all caffeine. And what he found was like when you think of you, you're thinking of yourself caffeinated.
mhm.
Like you are a completely different person when you're not caffeinated. It's just caffeine is the stimulant of choice that's not taboo today.
Yeah.
You know, um, I want to switch to that yerba mate, but my point is like there's so many like you could make that point with so many different things. It's like you cut out the chemicals. Your body is so used to functioning with and processing all the chemicals and junk. It's like cut that out, you might think differently. You might be a different person. You might feel all the chronic illnesses and pains and weird stuff that you feel could be a product of some of the things that's in your food. And I was thinking too, I I did for a long time. I cannot remember the name of it. There was this certain tea, and I got real into herbalism there for a minute. Still like it, but not. I mean, I'm not. I nerd out on
Was it
stuff.
the Kamuga
It
root that
was
you?
not kava. It
Oh,
was not
Kav.
kava. No, it was no. It's a different one. And I got it upstairs. I want to say holly, but it wasn't that. But basically, it was this thing, and it gave you a certain level of peace and a certain level of like euphoria. And it's a very common one. Oh, I
Mm,
can't think of the name of it. But anyway, so I used to drink it, and I tore it up. And it made me feel good. There was certain times where when you take a real long walk and you have like an idea on that
yeah.
walk, it's like that epiphany. I felt that one time. Well, all of a sudden something happened, and one day it's like my stomach killed when I
Oh,
drank that thing. Was drinking it fine before, and then it just transitioned, and now literally I can't drink it without having intense stomach pains.
wow.
So, what is it about the chemicals or the compounds or my stomach that
That's
one day I
changed.
was drinking it like water, and yeah, and you change. It's like, is my body saying like I don't need enough or I have too much of that compound? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? You know?
Well, that's the same thing with like supplements. If you take too much vitamin D, like if you don't have vitamin K to supplement with it, like the vitamin D actually you're overdosing your body and it's degrading your bones instead of helping and all this
Mm,
stuff. So like the supplements I usually take is the beef liver supplement or beef organs because I can't
mhm,
make it taste good, and then I've been taking a mushroom supplement like lion's manes, a bunch of stuff, and my zinc, and then. I've played around with some other supplements that are like help with the respiratory health, your lungs, and with those things, you have to have them sourced pretty well. But I think they do help a minor amount. But the beauty of those is if they're working, you're really not supposed to be able to see it. You should just be feeling better more consistently. And even like on when the months where I didn't take the supplements for the beef liver and stuff, I definitely felt worse. I definitely felt a lot better when I'm on it. And part of me is like because of the drinking, I'm ingesting a liver supplement to help heal the liver. But what I was gonna say to like all the chemicals and things that we want to do, and we're eating and breaking away from it. One of the things I've been looking at is this year I'd like to do like a prolonged fast, like a 5 day
mm,
water fast, and kind of
mhm,
incorporate those because I'm getting back into fasting a little bit, doing like 16 to 18 hours. Like the last that like yesterday was only like or today I think I only did like 13, but really after that 18 or around 18 is when your body starts breaking down and getting rid of these older cells and like generating new ones, going into that uh, uh, where it starts eating itself, eating the old stuff, bringing the new stuff, and producing the newer, healthy versions of you. And it's like, sometimes you need to take that big break and take a step away from it, and then you can kind of refocus on,
mhm,
how do I improve my health? That do I continue eating badly and then just doing these fast, once in a while, but to your body adapting. The reason I'm so interested in it is because there's that story about if you smoked however long you smoked, but if you stop smoking for 10 years, your lungs heal themselves and
mhm.
they get back to pretty much normal. So does that work for everything? If we're abusing our bodies with this food and our diets or the drinks, if you take a long enough break of just ingesting that stuff and going through this cycle of where it's eating itself and going through like those prolonged fasts, could you get back to normal? Is that a way to like, and not like normal and youthful, but normal enough to be it's like the standard healthy stasis? And do we have that much control on our health? And I think there's not enough science to really back it up. It's hard to do those studies, which I don't think you need to. There's enough people that do this prolonged fast that show they do feel better and stuff like that. And I think that's a cool way to add adversity into your life, where like maybe you can't find something you need to struggle on now. Well, just don't eat for a week, drink water, persevere through it, and then see where you come out on the other end, and that kind of change. So I said that to say, Michael, we got to do a 5-day fast this year together.
I so for religious reasons, when I was probably 18, I've done one 5 days like that. And you're talking about an altered state of consciousness at that point.
It's
Like
rough
it's
from what I've
not,
heard.
yeah, it's not ideal. I knew a lot of people that do like different ones. Like right now, a popular one in the Pentecostal circles is the Daniel fast,
What's that?
where you basically it's a lot of stuff. No meat,
Okay.
no, it's like you can only do certain vegetables, certain fruits, like no grains, no beans, like no nuts. It's like weird stuff. Basically, it's like a lot of vegetarian, but like you can add in a couple like different things. But they'll do that. And then I know a lot of people are doing well with the big thing now is the carnivore diet.
Uh,
And I was going to ask you, like, you've done a lot of different. You did like my favorite one that you did was the potato diet.
I still rock that out sometimes.
So, but I was going to ask, like, right, like, what? Well, first of all, you made me think of this, right? Like, there's something to be said for those guys that treat their body
Hmm.
like a test subject, like, you know. And I need to get better about this too, right? Like, because I have that GERD or
Yeah.
acid reflux, and they say like test your trigger foods. Kel goes to she's been doing a holistic doctor,
Hmm.
and they do that muscle response testing, and they'll literally test different foods on your body like
Oh.
in a vial. They'll do it in a vial, and then they see how you respond or whatever. That's part of the muscle response. And so they can test food sensitivities and things like that. And so I think some of these elimination diets are taking away some of the some of the things that are killing us today. But even in that, like, they say to test and see, like, okay, eat a certain food, and if you feel bad, record it and don't eat that food again. It's
Hmm.
the same way with guys. Like, I was reading a guy who tests different forms of uppers. He tested Ritalin. He didn't say cocaine, but he kind of hinted around. He tested that yerba mate. He tested green tea. He tested like all the different forms of caffeine and rated, all the effects of it. I'm afraid to do that. Right? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm not doing cocaine, but I'm saying, like,
I think,
I don't want to feel the anxiety.
yeah.
But I think, like, to what you've done, you test certain things out. So number one, like, what's your mindset when you go to do like different diet? Like, you have that mentality, like you'll try anything
Yeah.
and you test it out. Like, do you have a set way that you record that stuff, or like just
Uh,
remember? Or
it,
and then also, before I forget,
okay.
the other thing I was going to ask is, you've done a lot of different diets. What's been your favorite diet, and what have you seen the most results in?
Uh, the recorded, it depends on the state of, like, if I'm like in a state like this, I'm probably going to record it either with videos. I would do stuff with Instagram, because it's the same thing with your workout vlog, your photos. You're just kind of progressing, like capturing your progress. So I would probably log it with those. The MyFitnessPal stuff, there's notes and feelings, but I like doing audio or video vlogs. So there's just being like, I'm like on day whatever. Is how I did it. Recently, when I've done anything, I think it's been super hardcore to where I'm doing it long term outside of like actual training right now. But for like the half marathon and stuff like that. So my diet's pretty important these next couple of months, and how I train. So I'm probably going to be a little bit more in tune with that, with like my how I'm feeling with eating, how I'm feeling with running, if I'm going to run fast. Because typically I run fast. I don't eat breakfast, and I run. If I can run in the morning, I run empty, which you're not really supposed to do. But I would say for me, the best diet I've done a little bit of everything. I think carnivore has been my favorite. I've felt the best on strictly carnivore. When I was eating like a pound of bacon a day, eating steaks as well. I was eating like 2 to 3 pounds of meat. Problem is, it's expensive now. So I think where
Yeah.
I've fallen in is like I'm like 75% carnivore, like, and then the other 25% is like carbs, whether it's like mixed drinks for pre workout stuff like that, little carbs, or like some veggies here and there. Some days definitely are some carb overloads where it's like I make French fries with something or that, or we have a fried food. But I would say 90% of the time it's going to be higher protein, and then lower carbs, but it usually gets some veggies in there. And I think the higher protein is really good. I feel really good on that. The problem with just that is, there's enough anecdotal evidence from the carnivore stuff that if you're giving up all of your stuff to eliminate to kind of see what inflames your body, people have
Mhm.
been on medication for years, and they cut out everything. And they're just eating steaks or eggs and burgers, and they don't have to take their meds anymore for inflammation or their aches and pains. So that's the one thing I want to get back to, and that's when you have to cut out like even this stuff. You might not want to do it all the time. You might need it for a pick me up for a workout, but like cutting out any of this stuff and figuring
It's our
out how to
sponsor for this episode.
C4.
Yeah.
That's when you'll finally feel the real benefits. But carnivore is my favorite. I think the potato diet's my favorite cheap diet. You're basically on your luck. Just bake potatoes. What you do is
Yeah, okay, good.
this guy was on Joe
You
Rogan.
cool them or
So
something,
you
right?
you,
Like,
you bake them, you cool them. Once they're cooled once, they have an enzyme that helps your gut biome, helps your gut heal. And then if you reheat it and then recool it, it doubles the enzymes. And it's like an unlimited amount of enzymes. You could reheat a potato like 6 times, and it's got 6 times the enzymes in there. And I don't know what the data is on like how much that actually really means. But the point of the potato diet is you just eat a baked potato, nothing on it, no salt, no pepper, because your body is at some point like, hey, you lose weight because your body's like, stop eating it. We're done. And then whatever you did
no
eat
more potatoes.
has the enzymes in it. And they got me thinking, I'm like, so the enzyme of the potato, it's still in there baked. So you could technically do this with French fries, where you air fry it up, you cool it down. As long as it's a potato and it's unsalted and it's cooled once, you can eat it. And I recommend eating it cold because it makes it harder. But when we worked together, you'd see me. I'd bake it in the microwave, and I hold it in my hand. I would just munching on it like a banana. And it's a good one because like russet potatoes are pretty cheap. You get the bag, and it's and that's a diet you do when you're like your goal is to lose weight and kind of reset. You're not trying to train. You're not trying to do this stuff because you're not getting any nutrients. You're literally just resetting your gut. So that's hard. It's hard to like work on changing your physiology with working out and dieting and also eating correctly. And it's tough. Right now everything's expensive. It's hard to get good cuts of meat. And I think, in a perfect world, you would get meat from a local farmer, or if your buddy deer hunts, you'd get his deer.
What's your fitness journey been like? Because you used to be a fat kid, didn't you?
I was a fat kid, and then I've gotten like relatively thin, and then I got back to kind of fat when we worked together.
No.
Well, I mean, the biggest I got was when Morgan was pregnant with Atticus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like 220. I
What
looked at a
got you
pic.
interested in working out, though?
Hello, I'm Michael, and you're watching Celestial Mystery Hour Podcast. God bless.
Other way. Oh, no, you were right. Go back. Now that's good.
I like to always. So when I was in high school, I would run when I felt sad, and I would use that as kind of like a meditative.
Did you deal with depression?
Like it wasn't like depressive feelings, but it was more of like I'm upset about something, I'm thinking about something, I need to go on a run. And I always would joke about like it's crazy that people are like I feel sad, I'm going to eat myself and gorge myself because you feel worse when you get done with a run. You feel accomplished, you feel good, your blood's flowing, and it makes you think. I mean, some of my greatest ideas and scripts and stuff I've written or tried to record come from when I'm doing a run because I'm actively it's just awesome. So that was the one thing. And then I liked lifting. I wanted to get strong. I wanted to push weight. But in high school, you had to be a part of like a sports team to do it. So I joined football just to go through the football training just to quit before football would start. But so it started there, and then I just wanted to be fit. There was no like goal. There was no sport I liked. There was nothing I was doing to like work out for. So bodybuilding kind of became the first one. But I never took bodybuilding to a certain level where I would like. I don't like spending so long on each body part. Like, I'm not going to do a traps day. I'm not going to work on making my traps huge. What I would love some bolder shoulders, but I just don't do. I don't train hard enough, and I don't eat enough for that. But I think like right now, my goal is to be flexible, strong. I want to feel as good as I do now, if not better, for the next 40 years. Like if I feel the way I feel right now,
how many years?
40. So
70. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
that's doable.
So if I feel right now, like the same way I feel right now, even just like the little tweaks that I have sometimes on my back if I'm overdoing it, I would feel great at 60. So if I can keep and maintain this, if not push it forward, I'm good. It's when you start
What,
getting debilitated and everything hurts and there's pain and moving. That's when life becomes a miserable experience because
yeah.
you've not taken care of your body. What were we gonna say?
Well, yeah, it's so strange because you know, I've always gone through hit or miss with fitness and working out, right? Like I would realize I'm getting fat and then I'll lose weight. I saw a meme that was like, adulthood is just gaining and losing the same 15 pounds. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like, and I've had that experience to an extent. I've yo-yoed a lot. And, it's funny because here getting back in shape and doing all this. So like I talked to you and you said like get your body moving and stuff. So I've just been doing that. Like, but it's so funny and not funny, right? Like because you still see yourself as that kid who was 20, never had to lift that much.
Mm.
I did. Okay, that's bad at time. I was saying like 24, 25, where you didn't have to stay active and you just had natural, I kept that athleticism from when I used to do stuff in high school, right?
Mhm.
But now doing things at, 33, it's like one, I see that my recovery time isn't there. It's still there. But like when I first coming back, like my body's just, and I know I'm young still, right? Like I'm not like, but my body's not the same as it was when I was 25.
Yeah.
My body's not the same. And it's been a hard thing for me, to your point, because it's like, man, if I'm feeling this way right now, like if I don't do something and change my life now,
It's gonna be
when I'm
awful.
40, I'm going to, and you do not think as clearly when you are out of shape. You just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
You're not even getting as much oxygen and blood flow to your
Yeah.
brain. And like, it's like, when I used to do like yoga, man, it's like, I felt great and I could breathe deeply. And it was like, I was working on my breath and all this stuff. And it was like, I thought more clearly.
Yeah.
And when you think more clear, and not just that, like when you feel better, you're going to think better. And it's like, truly, Kel talks about this. Like she had a boss one time that was like, um, health, wealth, and happiness are all interconnected.
Mhm.
When you're healthy, you'll be able to make money and work, and that's gonna, you'll be happy. When you're happy, you're gonna want to work,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna be healthy because you're gonna have that time.
Yeah.
And it's like so you can't have, it all starts with making sure like is people act like, and this is something I'm learning too, right? Like, if you want to move up in the corporate world, excuse me, if you want to work up in the work world, it's like there's very few CEOs that are fat and out of shape.
Yeah.
Like you lose respect. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in a meeting one time and it actually just happened again, but it's getting better. But, I was sitting in a meeting and I was like, I was on there with people who literally were like way above my pay grade. And you could just tell, like, and they took care of their body and they took care, and they were older, but like their teeth were like super white. And I started looking at myself on the call and I was like, man, dude, like you've got this stuff matters.
Yeah.
And so, especially like in the Christian tradition, like a lot of that stuff, there's a whole big thing on like, make sure you're humble, make sure that you're not like, we don't want to live for vanity, right? Like you should be more than just your appearance.
Mhm.
But you can take that so far. And I'll say this for myself, like I think part of that was laziness on me. Like you could take that so far. It's like it does matter. Like for instance, I used to get all Walmart stuff, right? It's like it's cheap. I like it, but it's like you can tell a difference. I'll get a good pair of jeans from J. Crew or someplace like that. It's like, no, you look better also. And when you look better, you get more respect. And when you get more respect, your ideas get out there. Whether it's fair or not, no one will take you serious
Oh yeah.
unless you present yourself in a way that's respectable.
It's not the
And that's
90s
something
anymore.
I've learned.
Yeah.
It's not. And also too, I can't dress like a kid and gain respect.
Yeah.
Like I have to, whether it's good, it's bad, right or wrong. Like there are those people that can get away with it, right? Like, Steve Jobs had the same thing, but he still looked presentable, right?
Yeah.
The older you get, like you have to, like we want to say I want to change the world, you know what I mean? Like just by ideas. It's not like I want to go, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, to be taken seriously, you have to have those intangibles and that nonverbal communication, which is everything from being fit. It's because it's like I'm coming at you with my ideas could be great, but if people see that you're not practicing them, they really like, do you really believe what you're saying? And if
Well,
you don't believe it, why should
well,
I believe it?
it's the same thing with like anytime there's like a a person like overseeing like the
Health minister.
the health administration. They're like obese. It's like,
Yeah.
well, clearly you
No,
guys are
no.
doing something wrong. Well, this goes back
It's
to
like, this is exactly who I want to listen to.
yeah, this goes. What's the same thing with physical trainers? Like you would not sign up to have a physical trainer who's fatter than you, who can't lift this.
Right.
He's eating a piece of pizza. Like keep curling, big boy.
There was a trainer at this old place that I used to go to, and he would literally, dude, I wish I could, like, like he was getting complaints for like not sexual harassment, but like weirdness. And he came up to me, he was like, dude, you didn't see me doing anything, did you? And I was like, I don't want to talk. But he would like the lady be doing squats, and he'd literally be like laying down on his side like this, like weird, like right up in her
Watching.
grill. And he was like, yeah, but he was chubby. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's like,
Belly
what are you
out.
doing here? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like you should be lifting. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry, just made me think
this
of
goes back to what we were talking about on the last episode, but because I said it doesn't matter what other people think of you, and how and your and all that stuff and the perception, but and I think it doesn't matter. But but it is right, because if you need, it's not right, but like. But just because it doesn't matter what other people think doesn't mean you shouldn't present yourself in
Right.
the right way. Because however you present yourself is how you see yourself. It goes back to the thoughts and the actions. So if you present yourself looking sloppy, then you're only going to get sloppy results. So you have to put in the effort to look good and take care of yourself, to look like you've maintained this, and like this is something you're that. And yeah, you can only get away with so much, and that's the fitted clothing is just better on you than like Walmart. Walmart stuff is still like, for some stuff, still good. Like their athletic stuff is great, but I wouldn't buy a suit from Walmart and be like,
George,
yeah,
the George brand.
yeah.
There's this whole idea too, Brandon, about you don't dress for yourself, you dress for other people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what's happened, and you can take it all the way back to our culture and some flaws in our culture too, right? Like we talk about, cultures that invest in their architecture, and cultures that beautify their environment are investing in their culture. Nowadays, like we have a bunch of stuff we just throw up. It looks like as cheap as we can get it, right? They'll throw in some flares here and there, but we're not doing that Art Deco. We're not doing all of this stuff, and it shows the degradation of what people value in our culture. And I think it's the same thing. It's like, if you do not look, I'm not saying you got to be the milady guy and and tip your hat. It's like, it's like, right there. There's also this idea of like dressing according to your culture and dressing according. Like I wouldn't wear a 3-piece suit everywhere I went. Right. I think that's weird.
Weekends,
but at the same time, right. But at the same time, it's like, if you and I, like our actions, and I was going to tell you this on the last episode, it's amazing to me that literally you can change your whole life by just changing your habits. Like what your little habits are will literally determine your future. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing though. Like it's the same thing here. Like, we think our actions don't matter. We think the little things, like nobody cares. I was like, nobody cares if I work out. Nobody cares if you got a little bit of a gut. It's like, no, wait a second. Like we're here preaching about like society needs to change. Like all these, maybe you're not, but I'm just saying in general, I am like, I want to see these changes, right? Like, it's like, I don't want my country to go to pot. Like, I don't want, all this stuff. It's like, be the change you want to see. And I think Gandhi said that, like, be the change you want to see in the world. Like it does matter. If you do not work out, it's like this whole Stoic and Roman principle of being a good citizen. It's like, if you don't present yourself in a good way, you are adding to the destruction of your society. But if you want to see, and I'm not saying you got to wear a 3, but I'm just saying like little things like that matter and add, because when we beautify where we live, where we beautify our bodies, when we, take care of ourselves and try to be the best person. You're not just doing it for you.
Mhm.
You're not just doing it for your family. Really, in a large way, you're doing it for your whole society, and it's going to make the world a better place just by hitting the gym. You know?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to the Gazebo of Truth episode
Yeah,
about communities.
you're
It,
right.
it,
Yeah,
it
yeah, that's right.
takes you have to take someone has to take the first step, and then you have to actively do it. And it's not about how hard is it going to be. It's like this is what it's going to do for us when it's completed. And
Yeah,
when you add value to your community, in your houses, in your homes, and the people there, you see like the quality of life going from stricken with poverty to better. I wouldn't say
yeah,
like middle class, but people are dressing more. And in a perfect world in the scenario, you have these communities, you have these lifelines, and then you would slowly have people weaning off of hard drugs and all this stuff because
yeah,
there's people around them that care for them in a way that isn't just the bottom line. We're caring for you because you're a human being living this
yeah,
life, and we want you to live a good life. And the good life is working for others and doing well for not just yourself, but the betterment of the community and the society and the culture. So all of those little things do add up. It's just hard to see, and a lot of times it's generational. It's like you might be
yeah.
doing this work for a long time, but it takes a long time. It takes you plant a tree. It takes like 30 years for it to grow
Well,
up. That's your community. You got to plant the seeds and you got to water it. You got to take care of it. It's going to take a while. And then you're going to look back one day and you're like, oh, we built this. We
yeah,
helped facilitate the growth into this better spot for people to have healthier and happier lives, closer to, the old ways where you're disconnected from all of the madness that is like TV
yeah,
and movies and all the drama in Hollywood and just social media, to where you walk out and you're like, I would rather be involved with this than see what's going on.
yeah. Well, they said that's where I think Eastern cultures have an upper hand as far as building civilization, um, because they say like in China, they don't think in years, they think in centuries.
Yes.
It's like they have a
Long
100-year
point.
plan.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, that's something we definitely miss out. I forgot we talked about this, so I won't keep hammering on it.
Well,
But
no,
I'm
but,
just saying, like, go ahead.
oh no, it's important. It's an important thing.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah, just been thinking a lot about that. And I don't know. Changing topic real quick.
Okay.
You mentioned something about I was going to have a good segue earlier. But anyway, have you heard about these? We haven't done any conspiracy talk on here, Brandon.
This is the
I would
segue.
love,
This is the
yeah,
segue.
I would love to hear any new conspiracies that you have. I've got a couple.
Uh,
One, LA fires. Two, mystery fog. Have you
okay.
heard anything about any of this stuff, B Town?
The fires I know of. I don't know the conspiracy. I think with the fog, they talked about something on No Agenda about it, but I wasn't fully paying attention to it because it was in a segment I don't like. It's the donation segment. I didn't really listen to it all that
Oh yeah,
much. Um, so I think the fog is killing people. Is what I got from it, or poison. But so I don't know that conspiracy wise. Um, Really, there's not really anything that's on my radar as of late, outside of like I'm just trying to think. Really, man, there's nothing. I mean, outside of like political stuff that's going on with like moves that are happening with like Tesla and Elon on X trying to get people all riled up, and it's like he's basically an arm of the government with the military, so they're trying to
yeah,
like create some psyop to get some business rolling for EV somewhere to sell, make a deal. Just kind of following that stuff, but not like a fun conspiracy. Nothing with. Well,
yeah.
there was
There we go. That's why I
there's
always got to tap you and just see what you got.
well,
What you got in your
there's
back
something
pocket
with
for
aliens that
conspiracy.
just happened here recently that they were
The
talking
drones?
about. Well, no, they just uncovered they excavated a alien mummy with flesh on it, and
What?
yeah, then
What?
they got the flesh off of it. They're doing some tests on it. But funny enough, one of the guys that I work with, his parents were involved in some UFO investigations, and he has actual records of the calls and like like when they went to go see like the guy that puts them under the trance. And it's a pretty big name guy. I forget his name right now, but he has like the manuscript of everything of that investigation, their involvement, and it's like even signed by the guy who did it, like to his parents. And he was looking on eBay because he's trying to sell them, and trying to like put the tapes on like audio or something like that so he can digitize them and sell them. But the manuscript by itself is like $800.
Wow.
And he was trying to figure out like, what's supposed to be the best way to do it. And I was like, I'd buy it from you if I didn't want to spend that much money there because I think it's cool.
Yeah, $800. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be really into that stuff. But I think, I guess the biggest conspiracy is just kind of how far they've pushed the aliens. But before I let you go, it reminded me of MK Ultra. So MK Ultra is technically done. It's the CIA stopped funding that. If you guys don't know what MK Ultra is,
Supposedly.
that was my point. I was going to bring this up. This is something I've been just thinking about. So it's probably my own conspiracy theory. But MK Ultra is when the CIA was like, when they would take people, heavily drug them, and then hypnotize them, do a bunch of stuff till they became activated agents. So at any moment they could like call upon you and say the keyword, and then you would go kind of in a trance and go do something. It's just mind control, and they stopped it. But what is the most mind controlling thing happening right now?
Cell phones.
Just social media, TikTok, anything.
Yeah,
all of these angles where you can be, because really the first edition of MK Ultra still being around was TV. Television was what was doing it. Programs, TVs, movies, all with a script, all with an agenda, under the idea of being creative for whatever. Look at the videos from World War II. They're all like anti-Nazi. I mean, for good reason. But they're making these things to push an agenda to change your mind. Now TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, that 60 seconds, that swipe, that like click is a mind numbing like situation. It is the hypnotizing thing, to the point of you hear a song on the radio. That's a TikTok song. I hear that on TikTok Reels. Yeah. You use that. Eventually, you're training these people to be turned on by either these songs, by these hit artists that are always the top 100, that are somehow always in the algorithm to do what? What are you doing it for? The government's figuring it out. But I think the MK Ultra never really fully died. Still running. They're just using TV and programs, and now moving to TikTok and Instagram, and it's foreseeable for the future. But you can see how well that like co-ops and keeps the gaze of the mind, especially older people. Like they think it's all young, but old people are addicted to TikTok, dude. You're in that cycle. You just TikTok.
I thought they were the Facebook crowd.
Well, they are. Facebook Reels are the same thing for TikTok. It's the same algorithm. It's the same swipe stuff.
Tell me the conspiracy behind the dancing TikToks. I've never seen so many old people trying to dance and do all this weird stuff.
Well, I think the dancing is another form of like hypnotization, because you're entranced by the flowing of the movement and the doing all that. It all was good. What they would do it for is maybe like if I'm planning it out, I'm a mastermind and brain controlling people. You use the dancing because the dancing has hand patterns that you can assign certain messages to go deep inside the cerebral passage of your brain. So if you're seeing a lot of the same kind of dances, you're getting the same message. And then, after a while, they want to bring out everybody and, do their flash mob of whatever. And then they have someone do that dance, and it like triggers everyone's brain to like, all right.
What do you think they're doing with it, though? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they doing?
I don't know what storm the Capitol again. I don't know. Well, the biggest thing that I would say is starting riots. So what works well for the FBI and the CIA during the 6-week cycle, which is what just happened.
What's that? Whoa.
The 6-week cycle is the CIA. They do it every 6 weeks or the FBI every 6 weeks to prove that they're doing something to keep their funding. So the most recent attack.
Wait a minute.
This is something. What? So this is something from like No Agenda.
This is real. This is like a real thing.
This is a real thing. Every 6 weeks, they will have something that where they found somebody, a terrorist that they were working with, they caught. Last 2 ones didn't work out. The most recent one that was 6 weeks on the dot after the last one was the New Orleans thing. And and the same thing with the Trump sniper. what happens is they have all these things. They plan out this bust. Like they give them, they work this kid up. They work this guy like, oh yeah, you're gonna really change the world. Get that. They give him these explosives because the shooter had a bomb. And then what usually happens is they go, they find them, they deactivate the bomb. They're like, oh, we're the FBI, we saved the day.
Yeah.
And then the last couple times they go rogue because they hype them up so much, or they get them up. They make their own rash decision, like I'm gonna run over these people, or I'm gonna go blow this up on my own. I'm going off script, and then they have to
Do you
clean
think
up.
they made that guy the ISIS guy?
Yes,
Because he was an ISIS guy.
100%. Yeah, he was
So
100%. Because what happens is these things happen where they're not in a jurisdiction where it would require FBI. The moment it happens, bam, the FBI is there. Really? You're like,
Yeah.
the cops weren't even there first. The FBI are there doing the caution sign, not local law enforcement getting them involved because it's higher. There's always something funny about it.
do you think that they know it's the FBI coming to them, or do you think that they think?
No,
You know what I'm saying?
no.
Like, is it an actor that's there that's like, oh, I'm with ISIS? Like,
they find young brothers in like people who are in their youth or like younger that are like they're just gone. They're like mentally they're not there.
Yeah.
They're not stable for whatever reason, and they
well,
can
this
see
guy
it.
had military ties too.
Yeah, they basically the way it works is they look for people that are posting and saying all this weird stuff like a 4chan or other things, and they find them, they get them, and they just kind of stick with them and just gotta keep talking, and then like you know what you should do? You should really put one to them. The other people just are just bought in because they just need someone to vilify their thoughts and opinions, and you found somebody that's really egging you on, saying you're right, that you're 100% right, but you should do this. You should take it to them. You should take it and bomb the whatever. And then they go and they kind of script them to do it so they can catch it. If you look at the 6 weeks, I'd have to get the stuff from me, but we could post it. But it's like it's always 6 weeks when they're like in mode, and they need to do it now before Trump takes over, before they want to like take away any like funding or anything for like the things, or like how Kennedy wanted to do, get rid of the CIA before it got bad, and then he died. It's crazy.
There's more in heaven and earth that are dreamt of in your philosophies. Like, we think this stuff is crazy, but I think, if we really knew what all the stuff that was going on,
Yeah.
like, and people could hear this and be like, this crazy or whatever. There's literally documents out there that are talking about like our government is on record doing crazier stuff than this. Like,
Yeah.
I think that you're probably underestimating the technology that we have to do it, right? Like you're saying that, and I think you're right. Like you're saying that, we're using TikTok and we're using this stuff, but people mock like the 5G towers, and they mock like, I just saw something the other day, and it was on X, but it did come with like a paper review. So I don't know, whatever. Don't fact check me on this, but I will say I did look into it. And it did look, but they just said a new study that came out, and it's showing, the people that took the COVID thing are more susceptible to these certain types of cancers and these certain things like heart conditions and things like that. And they believe that it is, we talked about it years ago, but there's something about that spike protein or whatever in there that can come in and do all this. Now, I was doing, I can't remember where I saw this, but basically it was talking about like there really could be something with the 5G towers and the spike protein and doing like turning something on to where your body changes, your chemistry changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that stuff sounds like science fiction, but we have supposed off-world vehicles in our atmosphere. Like we have things that are going faster than any known equipment. Like Kelly sent me a picture of like a patent of like where your phones literally can see images in your mind. Like I'm not saying they're doing it. I'm not saying like, but they're saying they're testing the capabilities now where they're able to do that stuff. Our marketing is so good that, look, it could be either a couple things. One, it could be that marketing is so good that they know you better than you know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But how often, or it could be that they're listening to us and picking up trigger words, right? Or it could just be like they're good at predictive things. Like there's a lot of things. But how often are you, and I don't have anything that does this, so I don't get it a lot. But you hear about people saying, I just thought about something random from 10 years ago and I got a commercial for it.
Oh,
Or I
yeah.
saw, it's like there are more things that are going on that broach the realm of science fiction than we would care to believe. And my question to you, BRBRW, is um is why are people, even when presented with facts and different things, like why is it so easy, like what you were just talking about, right? Like it's very easily for somebody to say, oh, you're so crazy, like you're a conspiracy theorist. Like why is that people's go-to? Why can they
Because
not at least evaluate whether or not you're right? And why are people so quick to dismiss, right? Like I err on the other side. I will say, like, I am typically one who, like, oh, all this. I've gotten better about that, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't believe everything that comes down the pike. But at the same time, I'll hear it out. And I think that it could be. Whether we'll ever know, I'll never know.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, what do you think is the psyche of people who can't even consider some of this stuff?
Well, we'll end this with this topic because
That's
we're
what I
we're
thought.
running at
That's
we're
what,
running
yeah.
at
I thought
50.
you.
Yeah,
I thought
we're
this would be good,
yeah.
dude.
Well,
I could just keep rolling. I had a
so
coffee. Love you and
we're
God bless.
yeah, we're good. So the reason I think that people are quick to dismiss it because it shatters their worldview. The worldview they've been presented is that everything in the world is normal. That these are the rules that everything falls by. Yes, there's string theory. Yes, there's like other worlds and dimensions, but that's only in textbooks.
Yeah.
That's only in like a college class. It's not real. It's not tangible. So when someone
Right.
goes like, "Oh, this is like the FBI is doing this," and it's like, "No, it's not real." Yeah, they may have done it with like the Bay of Pigs and 9/11. It's like looking and they're doing stuff right
Yeah.
now.
Literally.
Proxy wars. What we
Right.
do.
Literally.
They don't like it because it shatters like the
Cloud
worldview
seeding.
of that. That the government is there to help you. Blah blah blah. And once that kind of breaks down, like the powers that be that control everything in our lives right now are doing things that are super dangerous, secretive, that is not in our best interest. That breaks down, then it's like everything starts falling apart. That you've like created your whole process of how you live your normal life. Then what matters? What's purpose? Is this person like? It's like it makes you asking questions on like, does what's happening at work, is this for me, or is this some darker thing, or what is it supporting? And then you follow that down like like BlackRock owning all the different companies and like
Yeah.
what's funding what, and then you kind of get to the point where it's like everything's evil, everything's bad. No one's really recycling. Everyone's lying to you. So you're like, well, it's depressing and everything's for naught. So I just, instead of stepping into that world, I can just say you're crazy and there's no way that would happen. You're stupid. And then I feel better about myself. So, but my point to that is we literally have ticks. This is a live animal that bites you. You're now allergic
Yeah.
to red meat. You cannot eat red
Yeah.
meat the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that not a single time a scientist is like, let's just take that and just like do that to people and make them not eat meat?
Yeah.
Fluoride in the water in World War II to make the Germans freaking loony. They're docile. They're dull. They're like, oh, and then fluoride's like been touted to help your teeth, but it's like it's runoff from chemical waste from like machining programs, bought off by like the fact that like these ones they want a good deal. So like, well, you could use this say in science, fluoride the teeth in the water, so we can dump it in the water. You think that's not real? Like,
Right.
We
Well,
had-
follow the money.
we had people literally like you look at Morgan watches stuff all the time, like women were making fluoride like watches and their like teeth were falling out, because they're handling fluoride without any supervision. There's nothing that can stop it. They're getting radiated, their teeth will fall out, their bones thing, and they're like, oh, we'll pay you guys $20, like they'll pay you more, or they would cover it up. It's like this is throughout all of history with
Yeah.
with this stuff. People are bad. No one's out there looking. It's not crazy. I think just people don't want, because we're in the safest time ever of all time. With all the bad stuff happening, we were living the most advanced and safe thing ever. But when you still add that stuff that lingers from the old world, like the evil people that were controlling everything that we had no proper way of defending ourselves against, it kind of breaks that we're even advanced at all. So like,
I
what
think
was
that
the purpose of it?
people- Well, I agree, and I think that people, to that point, right? Like we're in the safest time,
Hmm.
uh, physically, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that we're in the safest time mentally.
No.
I don't know we're in this. As far as that is, you talk about freedoms, right? Like in a sense, we're the freest we've ever been. But how much, are we allowed to actually think? How much is being controlled? Like all of that is up for debate.
Yeah.
But my point is though, we are in the safest time that way. And I just wonder if the people that are truly evil have just that much more sophisticated ways to hide their evil, and so we don't see all the really bad. Like that's how good propaganda is. That's how much they own the media. Like
Yeah.
how much do we ever really know?
What-
And I just wonder, people don't change. Like there's always going to be evil in this
Yeah.
world. And I think that they may have so much power now that we have no idea how much evil is actually going
You
on.
also don't, well, and after this will be done, you don't need because everyone always goes like, well, how can they keep it a secret? How are they keep it? You don't need like 20 people involved with something. You need like a couple people that know what's going on. The people underneath of it, you sell them the plan as what it is. They're doing this good deed. You give them this scientific data. You give them this stuff like you're helping this. And then they believe that. And that's what everyone knows. And the people who do know the real thing, it's few and far between. So it's like,
Right.
And we talked about this. If we go and get in we'll say that for another day.
The archive.
We'll say that for another day. But it's it's not this elaborate plan. It's you're taking this, you're fibbing to them and giving them a truthful lie, like this is helping people, making your life worse. And then
what that's called, a noble lie.
Yeah. And then that's what trickles down to everybody else. There's not this competing thing. Why do you think whistleblowers come out and they get shot while they're eating a sandwich? Like,
what are you talking
the
about?
Boeing guy. The Boeing guy about to eat lunch he shoots himself in the head. They're like, oh, he's just living a terrible life. He's so terrible he had to go get lunch and then before he ate his sandwich, kill himself. Okay.
There's so many assassinations going on. There's so much. Look, the more things change, the more things stay the same. There's always been assassinations. There's always been evil. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Human nature is never going to change, right?
And that's
like,
why
we can get more advanced. Like,
yeah. Well, no, you're right. That's what I was going to say. But that's why we say "love you" at the end because you want to.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were ending it. Go ahead. Do you want me to say it? And God bless. Did you freeze?
No, I just stood really still.
You scared me. Gosh, I thought I was going crazy for a second.
I saw it. I was
wow. Well, my internet's been
I know.
Man, you're like really still. That was really good. Are we still recording?
Yes. All right.
Dude, you're amazing. That was amazing. That was really good. You got me.
Love you.